Joe abandon the podcast? Did Joe run away? Did Joe take off and not tell me? Am I the only one on this podcast who's professional? I guess I am. I'm going to check and see if we have any more comments. People giving us the comments.
I had a surprise run by.
Dude, eat something.
Yeah, really.
Well, normally at the convention they do provide us food, but there was a line.
I was moving the computer about as when Paul Fricke came by.
How is Paul?
Doing good. We had a good talk. Showed off the Troll Lord glass.
Ah, yes.
Matter of fact, as long as we're showing off glasses, I'll go get the Harley Quinn one.
Yeah, the convention this year is selling. They've done some merchandising, which they haven't done in the past. They're selling the T-shirts, but they're also selling prints. And they did prints last year, right?
Yeah, I still got them in my basement. I got to bring them back. And they were cool because they were specifically about the MCBA with a Mars Attacks theme. Here's the Harley Quinn they did.
And who's the artist?
WC. I can't read it. Carb.
WC can't read it. He's a great artist. I love his stuff.
I think
he worked at Marvel in the 70s.
I think he's the guy who does. Where'd he go?
I'm just goofy now.
Yes, he is. Eat something. Would you tell him eat? So he didn't listen to me. As I almost dropped my glass.
Yeah, what happened to my candy bar?
It got kind of destroyed, so I had to throw it.
It's today.
Outside, I did find the Shadow Alex Ross print. This is from Nick's Post.
That is not a print. That is
no. This is actual art with a certificate of authenticity. This was one of those deals, because the source had a shadow book for themselves, where it had the source on it, and this might have been one of the incentive things because Alex only did 200 of these. About 199 of them are on eBay right now.
Going for how much?
Anywhere, depending on how involved the sketch was, anywhere from, sorry, we're talking comics, and Jen hates comics. Anywhere
That's how
from
we get rid of her,
Anywhere from $200 to like $400, depending on how. Some went for $6 and this is a really nice involved one. And I had it up on eBay for a year. We had it in the charity store last year. Just got ridiculously low offers for it. Going to the art auction, and it may go ridiculously low, but we'll let it go.
Have you seen Alex Ross's latest project?
No.
He's doing Beatles prints.
Yes, I saw them. I priced them. Oh my God, they're crazy expensive, but just really nice.
Sharon's about to walk by, although she won't come over and talk to us.
There she is. Come on over.
Sharon.
Hang on.
Hi.
Profile.
Sharon is kind of my foster daughter.
Oh, I shouldn't be doing that then.
I've been listening to him do his podcast for many years.
You were there at the beginning.
I was sleeping on your couch.
Yes. Sharon lived.
Now there's a story we don't know.
Oh my God.
My whole life.
5 or 6 years.
Never cleaned a room once.
I lived in the living room. I didn't have a room.
No, you had a room. You just
he's never cleaned his living room either.
Yeah. All right, what do you want me over here?
What I want to say thank you because you work at a charity store or what you got, thrift store?
Thrift store, yep.
And you donated some really cool stuff. Go ahead, give them a shout out.
Hi, I work at Unique. It's a thrift store in Burnsville, Minnesota. We are run by Savers. It's another thrift store corporation. Basically, we donate to nonprofits and other charities like churches and things like that. We actually used to work with the Lupus Foundation.
Oh, nice.
But there was a bit of an issue with our fundraising. I believe the state of Minnesota had to have us specify our our charity.
There you go, government mucking things up again.
In order to become a donation center, we have to specify exactly where all of the funds are going. So, we donate a specific percent of money to charities per pound.
Breaking news: Jen is dancing again. All right, thank you. Back to.
Basically, when you donate at thrift stores like Savers and Unique and
let people know when you're dancing.
And Value Thrift.
Yes, it's breaking news.
we donate however many cents per pound of hard clothing and soft goods to a specific foundation that works with our stores, in particular Big Brothers Big Sisters is part of our store. But we decided to donate to this nonprofit because you guys give back to charities. So I donated a ton of t-shirts and lots of kids' toys. What else did I donate?
Oh, there were some stuffed animals, books.
Lots of superhero t-shirts.
Yeah,
Star Wars.
Really cool.
What was the first convention you went to here?
How many years ago?
Yeah.
Well, am I sitting down now?
Okay.
So you guys aren't talking to yourselves?
Oh, I've been talking since 10 o'clock. I still have a voice which should scare people.
And I have pneumonia right now, and you're sitting this close?
By the way, Sharon brought me this.
From my thrift store.
And I'm very happy with it. Now I can pretend I'm either Bobby Heenan or Gorilla Monsoon. If I'm Gorilla Monsoon, it's... Oh, give me a break, Bobby Heenan.
All right, so the first convention that I went to here was five years ago. So I've been helping out with the charity booth for about 5 years now. I literally know the littlest about comics. I think that I could possibly,
Even after living at my place since 2008.
You know what? Sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other. Sometimes stuff sticks. But I will say this. I love the community. I do. Comic communities are amazing. They help each other out. And I'm a huge nerd, too. Maybe not necessarily for comic books, but anime, sci-fi, fantasy. I love TV shows.
We have a question from the internet. Okay, quick question. Any idea why Savers would turn down volunteer work?
Because we are a for-profit corporation, unfortunately. We do not we're not like charity. We don't get a bunch of money to sell these items and then give that money back specifically, like volunteer work. Right now, we currently work with, we do have organizations that come in, like kids who are troubled through their schools. They'll come in and they'll do some minor work for us. My store in particular works with disabled adults that come in and they do cleaning for us. So they'll wipe down the counters and they'll vacuum and they'll do stuff like that. But as for volunteer work, we have to pay you in order to work for us because we are considered a for-profit company. So.
Now, when you come to the convention, other than the charity table, what are you looking for here when you're running around?
I actually just bought.
You bought something?
I bought something from a local artist. And this is what he drew me. I love Halloween and I love spooky stuff. He has this thing every year called Drawloween. It's in October. And Matthew Eng is his name. E-N-G is his last name. I would definitely offer to buy something from him because he's amazing and he does a lot of Bob's Burgers stuff.
Oh, okay.
He actually made like the cake shirt from Bob's Burgers when Bob goes to the patty cake musical or whatever they had in the episode. It was amazing. I think we got another question.
Let me look, but I think it was more a comment.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, I can see. The head office would probably say no to something like that because we would be considered liable for any
first
issues.
Explain what the question is.
The question is, the comment was that someone had offered to fix up some bikes at a local Savers, but the head office said no. So probably they would say no simply because it would be a liability for us. If one of those bikes broke down and we say, oh, well, we had someone fix it, then essentially we would be liable for that issue.
She didn't donate this, but we had this from last year. It's a peacock.
You guys keep so much crap. To be fair, there's a lot of really cool stuff. I brought a giant orange dragon. It's like a stuffed dragon, like bigger than me.
So what other conventions do you go to?
I'm an anime nerd. I go to anime conventions. I go to Anime Detour. It's a local Minnesota convention. I also go to Convergence, which is an awesome convention. It's a fantasy sci-fi convention here in Minnesota. I love going. It's 4 days long. Most conventions are usually 2 to 3 days. But Convergence it starts on Thursday and ends on Sunday. So it's at the Doubletree in Bloomington. And you get tons of vendors, lots of steampunk vendors, lots of leather workers, local artists and authors go there to sell their sci-fi books and their fantasy books. So it's actually really, really cool. I love it. They have a different system for their artist alley too. They'll just basically pull it all out in the main lobby and let everybody like go hang out there. Trying to think. I also go to FallCon. I go to FallCon. That one's a really fun one. Only because it's one day and there's less headache and you don't have to I don't know. With SpringCon you have to set everything up. It's more time to do so, but it's a lot more time to get comfortable. And I think it takes a lot longer to tear it down because you're so comfortable with being in that atmosphere.
I maintain the best dressed man in comics when I'm at FallCon as well. Although it's called MSP ComiCon, the one day wonder, I don't care.
Okay.
SpringCon and FallCon is what they are to me, damn it.
Of the two.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Of the two, I definitely prefer SpringCon because it's a lot more fun. I think more people come out for it. There are some people that I only get to see here, and it's great. I remember, oh my god, I remember and then I forget. Never mind. It's from living in your house.
It's all the crack and cocaine she does.
Hey, you leave my crack and cocaine out of this. Another convention I go to is Crypticon. It's actually a horror convention. The first time that I went, I actually won tickets here at this convention. I wasn't volunteering that year, but they have a bunch of auctions and raffles going on up at the front of SpringCon, and I won 2 tickets to Crypticon, and I went. This year, they're having Elvira.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh my god, I am so excited. You can't even imagine. I am a Halloween fanatic. I love scary movies. I love everything spooky. I have tattoos.
Show the necklace.
My bat. And I actually got engaged recently, and there's my engagement ring. It's a jack-o'-lantern.
There you go.
So, I mean, Crypticon is awesome. It's a great horror convention. If you're into horror and all that, I would definitely check it out.
So, at the anime conventions, what is the difference between an anime convention and a convention like this?
An anime convention is more... Trying to think.
You just got congratulated by
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we've been together for 3 years and just...
You met at a convention, if I remember.
We met at Anime Detour, yeah. We were just talking about Anime Detour. Basically, an anime convention, I would say... Now, I haven't been to many comic book conventions, so like Wizard World and Comic-Cons. This basically my only experience with comic book conventions has been this convention. And it's small and local, and I love it. Anime Detour used to be like this, and now it's grown so much. It's got 10,000 attendees. It's ridiculous.
Although weird, they don't give out official numbers, but the unofficial numbers from last year's SpringCon was 7,500.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know about Detour, but I know that they have a standing attendance number, which is they can only allow 10,000 people in the hotel at one. I think it's 10,000. Don't quote me on that.
We're not in a hotel.
Yeah, thankfully you guys have this big warehouse. Hotels are a lot harder to maintain too because you've got a lot of people who do stupid things, a lot of minors who do stupid things, even adults who do stupid things.
In the hotel we used to be in, it's being torn down.
Yeah, the Ramada used to be where Crypticon was.
No. You could call it the Ramada all you want. It was the
Thunderbird. Yeah. It was basically our Twin Peaks version of, what was it?
The Great Northern.
The Great Northern.
It was
pretty much
tackier than the Great Northern.
It was so glorious.
Oh, it was amazingly racist.
They just recently...
All of the Native American stuff, every stereotype thing. Wooden papooses on the wall.
They had a totem out in the courtyard.
Yeah, they had a totem, and they had a big Native American doing the
oh yeah, they had the big howl.
oh my God, you'd walk into it, you would just be amazed.
They had the turquoise and the red colors all on the wall, and oh my God, it was like a maze.
Yeah.
You couldn't all the rooms. They were numbered, but they weren't in any sequential order that I could figure out. The pool was down a hall past some vending machines.
And it was an indoor pool.
It was
an outdoor pool and an indoor pool.
Yep.
The outdoor pool was like, I don't know, ankle deep.
We went to this big blowout for the Thunderbird's getting torn down. We're all gonna have party and
WC Karate. That's who did the art on the Harley Quinn glass.
Thank you. Stop it.
I'm messing with his things. We had this big blowout for the Thunderbird, and a bunch of hillbillies decided that they were going to crash the party.
Oh, good.
And so
hillbillies and anime nerds.
Oh my God, it was terrible. Oh my gosh. No, okay, so we had a bunch of fursuiters show up.
Oh no.
And we had these hillbillies show up, and they came in with a cooler on a luggage rack, and they were like, "Does anybody want Bud Light and Corona? Only $1." And I'm like, who the hell are these? Like, okay.
Nobody wants Bud Light.
First off, nobody wants Bud Light, especially lime Bud Light.
That's not even beer.
It's not, no. And the Coronas. Okay, don't get me wrong, they look pretty, but they taste like piss. And I would know, because I've had little nieces and
she would know.
Nephews.
You've drank piss?
And they've peed directly. It was not a good story. Anywho, I have verifiable proof that it tastes like piss, okay?
Okay. We've now gone from talking comics to a water play.
Okay, well, so...
That explicit tag is there for a reason. Kids, tell your parents.
So, they go around trying to sell beer out of this cooler, and nobody wants to hang around them because they're ogling all the girls in the corsets, of course, and everybody's in costume.
What's wrong with that?
Everybody's in costume, but they're not being nice about it. They're being genuine assholes. Like,
they're not giving the side eye, they're giving the full eye.
They're giving the full eye. Like, you want to come up to my room after this and let's get down? I'm like, come on, guys. So they got reported real quick. They're selling alcohol, second off, in a non-designated alcoholic area. So they got shut down really quickly, but they were all drunk and booby-eyed for hours after that.
I've been booby-eyed since I was 14.
Well, you know what? There's a tolerance level. I can tolerate booby-eyed, but I can't tolerate the mix, I guess, of the Coronas. Just the fact that they were hillbillies bothered me at a deep level. I was like, if it was just a nerd getting all booby-eyed, he'd be awkward as shit and be like, and he'd get close to you and start breathing real heavy. But no, there was hillbilly booby-eyed, which is hey girl, how's it going? I like them jeans. You want to go back to my place and get in my t-shirt wearing nothing but, your bare feet? Come on, really? I know country. My whole family's Southern. That's how it goes. They get you with the Coronas, and then they start talking about blue jeans and Cousin Marion. That's how it works. All right.
So it was a fun party.
You never told them that I was the one who made your logo.
No. We've talked about it on the show before.
I was the one who made their logo, and they asked me for a better one this year, but I unfortunately was not able to live up to that bargain.
Well, the Panels and Pizza guy is done with his massive podcasting.
I saw that upstairs. I'm like,
guess what? We're still going.
I was like, who is that nerd over there with pizzas on his flyer? What are they doing over there? Oh, Michael Etten was over there, and he said, oh, well, that's, so-and-so's dad, and they're doing podcasts. And I'm like, by himself? What is he talking to himself?
Half the time I'm talking to myself because Joe wanders off and leaves me all alone.
And now I feel bad, so I'm going to be stuck here until my voice goes numb.
And my voice is already numb.
You got one more day, dude.
Now, Jen, in an interview that we had no sound, obviously, talked about how at anime conventions there are a lot more webcomics people.
Yeah, there are. I think that's how Homestuck got popular. It's because anime fans tend to latch on to things that are close to home and relatable. I think comics are a little bit harder to relate to. I think you have to have a broader imagination for comics. You really do.
So you just basically said that people who go to anime cons have no imagination.
No, they have tons of imagination. They have a singular imagination, though. I do think. I personally...
Still mocking you.
That's okay. Personally...
You must shun her.
Personally, I think people at anime conventions have a tendency to...
I think
Thank you. People who are at anime conventions tend to find...
And people are giving you phones. That's cool.
My phone dropped. Thank you.
Oh.
They have a tendency to get drawn to one or two things and fandom about those two things, rather than get into like a big brand and branch out into different things. It'd be like getting stuck on Superman and only reading Superman-based side stories.
Okay.
Kind of like that. Anime fans, they tend to stick to the one things that they love, and that'll change over time. They'll find one other thing, two other things throughout their life that they really like. But I have friends who, I mean, they were Homestuck fans for like 3 or 4 years, and then they started getting into something else. Versus comic book fans, I think they tend to broaden their range.
They're like broads.
Kind of like broads. Yeah. Or birds, as they call them in English.
Imagine we did this sort of stuff for I don't know how many years as she lived on my couch.
Yeah, there was a lot of witty
Filled
banter.
up my goddamn TiVo with fucking ghost hunting shows.
I was really into Ghost Hunters for a while. And then I watched the South Park episode where
Yeah.
the dead celebrities. There's something wet and warm that's dribbling down my leg. What is it? It's a ghost! Run away! I don't know. I liked my Ghost Hunter shows and eventually got out of that fad.
The guy I used to do overnights with was hooked on the show Finding Bigfoot.
Oh my god, I hate those shows.
And, well, the thing
I
is,
liked ghost hunting shows, but I hated those shows. Like, any of those, like, mythological creature shows, like, I could not get into. My brother's a big fan of, like, Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and Chupacabra, and, like, I'm like, how? Maybe it's because he liked Godzilla a lot growing up, that he, like, really genuinely wanted to believe that those things existed. But I'm like, American kaiju suck. Come on. Like, Bigfoot? Really? Of all the kaijus you could come up with, it's a hairy man living in the forest who does nothing.
The thing about the Finding Bigfoot show,
It sounds like a hillbilly. He hides from society. Okay.
Tom and I got along great. We didn't agree on things, but we got along great because we would have good discussions. At one time, I noticed he's watching Finding Bigfoot, and I would say, "Oh, you're watching Bigfoot show," and he gave me like this 20-minute speech on you know how we haven't found everything, and blah blah blah. And I said, "Well, you know they're never going to find Bigfoot, right?" He goes, "Oh, you know." I said, "No, if they ever find Bigfoot, the show's over." He didn't talk to me for 2 weeks after that. He was so mad.
It's kind of like those ghost hunting shows. If you ever actually had evidence, there would be no...
Yeah, how many years was that on and they still didn't find a goddamn thing?
I want to say there was like 10 or 12 seasons.
Jeez.
It was so many. And then Ghost Adventures. And then... Oh, God. It was Ghost Adventures, Paranormal State. I can't even, like, think.
Can't even.
I can't even. There's so many of them.
I can't even.
And this witty banter goes back and forth and back and forth.
Rainbow Bright. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
No, you should tell the people how we met.
I used to date his son back when I was 15
And you two met at
at a Christian group
And the thing was,
called Treehouse.
my son started going to this Christian group, Treehouse, and I asked,
It's amazing.
"Why are you going?" And he was real evasive. And eventually, I said, "Well, why do you go to this thing? You need to tell me why, or I'm gonna,
I'm gonna get worried you're becoming a Christian.
No, it was more if you want to explore Christianity, that's great. I know people who do that. And he said, "Well, there are girls there."
I mean, it's true.
And that's why he went.
Yeah.
And he met you. And
He was a smart man.
And I'm the one who drove you two on your first date to
I don't remember actually.
bowling alley.
Oh yeah,
So you could play Dance Dance Revolution.
Dance Dance Revolution. Oh yeah. Mike's awesome. He's a great guy. We just didn't work out. I think we lasted like 3 months. I was like 15.
I don't know how long you.
He got me a
lasted.
black rose for Valentine's Day. I'm a goth, so like that was like I was swooning.
What
but,
I thought was great was you two broke up, but you didn't leave.
I didn't leave.
You just kept coming over
That's because okay.
all the time.
In all reality,
You, like, can I stay there for? Okay.
in all reality, I liked you better than I liked Mike at that time, and that's the brutal honesty. I liked hanging out with you more. You had more interesting things to say. You were into comic books and into sci-fi and fantasy, and Mike was into gaming, which I wasn't a huge gamer at the time, and I'm still not. Like, I like sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, and I liked hanging out with you. Ever since I was a little kid, though, I've always really liked hanging out with adults more than kids my own age. So I think around that time, I felt like
It's good that you're engaged to someone who's new to your age, because
he's 4 years younger than me.
See, it could have been worse. It could have been, yeah, I'm engaged. He's 70, but he'll die soon.
I would
He'll
marry
get his money.
Stanley, okay? I would marry Stanley.
Stan is 90.
I know, but I would marry him.
He'll kick your ass.
And he'll kick my ass. He'll be like, get back to school. But no, I think I started hanging out more and more, and then eventually, like, stuff at home got really rough, and I was like, I trusted you enough to, like, want to come stay with you, so I think you were the only person really at that time I could rely on, so.
Which is frightening.
Knowing him now, yeah.
I'm-
Teenagers aren't exactly the smartest people in the world,
yeah.
so,
Reliable?
I mean, you dress well. I just thought you had your
best dressed man in comics.
I just thought he had his life together, really, is what it was. Turns out, this is a 50-50.
No one has their life together.
Am I sitting too close to this?
I don't know.
Is this gonna be, can you guys hear me? Am I too loud?
Sibilance. As long as we have sound, it doesn't matter.
I don't think anybody's watching anymore, Corey.
No, we have watchers.
Oh, yes.
We have people watching.
Yes, you reliable? You're just trying to win brownie points.
Yeah, I'm about as reliable as a new season of Rick and Morty.
Okay. Theo, my boyfriend, loves Rick and Morty. I
Of
cannot
course, Rick and Morty's amazing.
stand it. I cannot stand that show. And I think what it is, we actually bought a board game that has very similar art style to Rick and Morty. It's called Battle Wizards. Amazing game. But like the concept and the art, like I just don't like grotesque, gross, like out of place stuff like that. I don't know. Time travel's never really been my big thing.
And yet you like,
Blah, blah, blah. Hey, show your face. Look at that.
I'm kind of weirded out. Wolfie hasn't hit on Sharon yet.
He has boobies.
Yes, I do.
Boobies.
He hasn't been out.
That was probably really loud. Sorry.
We've been talking about boobs a lot.
I didn't know.
It's almost like you like them or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I just found out.
And did you go over and
Who's here?
and genuflect?
Oh,
This artist.
Linzer, yeah.
No, surprisingly enough, I paid more attention to the female in this movie.
Well, that shouldn't surprise anybody.
No,
I didn't know
How
he was
about
here.
Wolfie? Did Wolfie pay attention to the female in the shirt?
he wasn't with me, which is probably a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Now we're all rated.
The most pixelated boobies you can imagine. You've seen better quality.
On Minecraft.
There are boobs on Minecraft?
I don't know. I just finished watching the episode of South Park where they were trying to, I think, block informative murder porn. And the password protection for the parental blocks was how do you tame a horse in Minecraft? And all the adults didn't know what a Minecraft was, so they had to go and learn it from a kid.
Let's see here. Yeah, Sharon, they can hear you. You're fine. Corey's a bit quiet because I'm
I
further
told
away
you.
from
Yeah,
the
see?
microphone. And you're thinking that I'm reliable. I'm basing it on observations of Corey since I've known Jen. I could go for a couple hours on that one.
So are we officially R-rated here?
I don't know.
Because there's something I've been wanting to do. Since I sat down this, I've been wanting to do that the whole time.
Did you know that Wolfie has filleted the microphone?
Good. I'm glad because I'm not a freak. Then I'm not the only one.
No, you are a freak. Okay.
Define freak. Bats. Yeah, I get it.
And how many tattoos do you have now?
1, 2, 3.
Are they all
four.
and stuff and Halloween stuff?
Mostly jack-o'-lanterns, bats, haunted houses. I have a cauldron and ghosts. Yeah, they're mostly Halloween.
Yeah.
I have a werewolf.
Where?
Oh, werewolves.
Oh.
Werewolves, not swearwolves.
I have an hour and a half to go. Not all the jokes are going to be good. You have to expect that.
It's just going to be me and him talking, and you're going to have to deal with
I
it.
keep asking Butch to show up, and he just wanders away.
Okay, remind me. Is Butch a wrestler?
No.
He looks like one. Why does he look like... He looks like... There's a big, bald
He looks
wrestler.
like the Big Show's kid.
Yes! Oh my god! That's it! I've been thinking about it. I'm like, I've been seeing pictures and going, did they get a wrestler on this show? Like, what the hell?
Well, back when the Big Show first showed up, we watched wrestling at the shop all the time. And one of the things, when the Big Show first showed up in WCW, Hogan pushed him as he was Andre the Giant's illegitimate kid.
Yep.
And then they dropped that pretty quickly because Andre's family went, nope.
I wonder why.
And then the NWO got big, and one of the things about the NWO was that they broke kayfabe.
Yep.
So they're, everybody's in the ring, they're doing a promo. Scott Hall goes over to the Big Show and goes, say, didn't you used to be Andre's kid? And the Big Show goes, God, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Well, and Butch looked a lot like the Big Show back then.
Yep.
And Butch knew where the wrestlers would go after shows. So there was a time WCW was in town, and he went to the bar where they were hanging out. And someone from WCW actually came up and said, hey, you the Big Show's brother?
All I know is I spent a lot of time sitting on Corey's couch. And a lot of that time was him watching wrestling. I learned a lot of useless information about the WWE and WCW and what is it, the other one? ECW and
TNA. Dumbest name ever. What's the name of your wrestling organization? TNA.
it makes
Boobs.
You know what? I just now realized that was it. That's the thing. I was like, why does that sound so familiar? So, probably one of the funnest points of my life, though, because even though I wasn't into it, I got into it. And it was a lot of fun being able to enjoy that with someone who was really into it, because it made me really into it. So even though I don't watch wrestling on my own, I still miss those days sitting on the couch watching wrestling with Corey. So I bought him an old school WWF mug because that's how much I care about him.
Oh, give me a break, Bobby Heenan.
You haven't checked the comments recently.
I have not. Wolverine cosplay, yep. Gotta admit, the shape is suggestive. Yep, yep.
I think I saw a Jubilee costume.
I've seen a few costumes. I have not seen the group that does the cosplay, the big Minnesota superheroes.
Yeah.
They're probably staying to their own area now.
I think I saw them over there.
Yeah.
More towards there. And then they've got a cosplay contest thing going on over there.
Yes. And Jim's assistant will be taking part in the cosplay contest tomorrow.
Ooh, her Harley Quinn. Yeah.
No, tomorrow she will be the Joker. Today she's Harley.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow she'll be the Joker. Tomorrow, I'm just going to be me.
I debated. I'm like, should I dress up? Should I cosplay? No, I'm just going to go as typical sick goth girl. I'm pale enough.
Now, did you cosplay or did you just dress up?
Today?
No, in the past at these conventions.
I cosplayed as River from Firefly once.
Okay.
I wore the dress with the combat boots and one of them long cardigans. I think that was the only time I dressed up. No, I dressed up as Agent Carter one year.
Oh, okay.
I had the pencil skirt, and it was very uncomfortable, so I think I changed out of it. I think I wore it for maybe a total of 3 hours before walking around, really.
And she just whipped it off in front of everybody, and
Pretty
people
much.
were throwing dollar bills.
That's one way for charity.
Oh, you gave that money to charity. I thought you were using it for snacks.
Yeah, charity, totally.
I need snacks, by the way.
When was the last time you ate?
I had a payday bar.
It really sucks, though. I will say this. I'm a little disappointed with the food that they have this year.
Yeah.
It's all pulled pork, which
Well,
is...
they had hot dogs.
Well, it's
He
all
said
pulled pork
roll in
now,
his eyes.
says the vegetarian.
Yeah.
They don't have any vegetarian options other than chips, which kind
And
of
they're
sucks.
gone.
Although the person that I spoke to said that, I guess on the guest forms, they ask if you're a vegetarian, but it shit out of luck, I guess, if you're a volunteer.
They didn't ask me.
To be honest, though, where we usually get like sandwiches and varying different kinds, ham, turkey, and now this year all they have is pork products, which some people can't eat pork. Not necessarily a meat thing, but you can't even eat pork.
And I went outside to get something, and the cinnamon roll people, we're all out of cinnamon rolls, sir.
The hell are you serving? Rolls or just cinnamon?
I don't know.
So they're out of cinnamon rolls, but they gotta have one or the other. So
I wanted cinnamon rolls. My heart. She is broken.
it's okay. They get a steak at the end of the night, so
Yeah, the vegetarians love the steak.
I'm fine with the steak. I'm not a big pork eater. That sounds really bad.
Well, of course, you're getting married. You're not going to have to eat pork anymore.
Heyo!
Hey, you. I'll be here all week. Don't forget to tip your wait staff. They're working hard for you.
I don't think that
Coming
they
up
can hear you.
next is a guy who's been on David Letterman, Stephen Colbert, and The Tonight Show.
Is it Mr. Ghost?
I don't know, but you probably, that's right, you don't know. I did stand-up comedy for about 6 months.
No, I didn't know that. When was that?
Back in 90 and 91.
Oh, I thought this was during like the 2 years I wasn't living with him.
No, it was while you were me.
When I was wee?
You were me.
When I was still in my dada's wee-wee?
No, it's 90 and 91. You were alive.
I'm 27 now.
Yeah.
91? I was probably like 2.
But, you know, my marriage had fallen apart, and I was trying to figure out. That's Lisa, the prize lady, announcing.
He means Xena.
And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I'd done some stand-up type stuff in high school and college. And I said, oh, I'll try it. So I got involved in the open mic nights. And what it would be, okay, you sign up, you wait, and then you can go up and you can do 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And what I did was kind of what I do with the Weekly News Update now. I would read the paper and write jokes based on that. And I got to know a lot of people work in comedy. And the first thing I found out is they were far more driven than me. They would, okay, sign up at this open mic. The minute
Yeah.
they're off stage, they're driving to the next one. They would do 2 or 3 a night. They would take gigs anywhere. It's like, oh, a nursing home needs a comedian. They're going to pay him $25 on a Wednesday afternoon to come entertain the people there. They'd show up and they'd do it. And what they told me, something's beeping. Is that the computer beeping?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's not us. So I hope it's not us.
We have a beeping issue.
I'm going to hope that it's not us. I
Well-
will check in a bit. I'm telling a story.
We're not going to explode, I hope.
No, I just don't want us to lose the sound again. So, there, now you can see me as I'm telling the story.
They just want to see me. Get out of here.
Well, they don't want to see you like that. They want to see you like this.
They want to see me like this. I'm here. I'm here all night.
So,
He forgot his story.
I would go up and I would do 5 minutes of this new stuff, and the comedians would go, "You're burning through too much material." I'm like, but that's the kind of stuff, and jokes based on the news, they've got a shelf life of maybe a week. You're burning through too much material. You need to start by putting together a good 5 minutes, and then start building on that. And I did it enough that they had me do the announcing at times, which doing a podcast, that's kind of announcing. But I would be the one to come up. Let's give a big round of applause for Scott. What's his name? Yeah, Scott will be doing openings next week. It's really exciting. Our next act coming up has appeared on this show, and this show. Let's have a big hand for Joe Brony.
Why'd you have to bring the bronies into this?
Because it's a jabroni. It has nothing to do with My Little Pony. It's about jabronis. Like the Iron Sheik. He's jabroni, and he can go to hell. No good jabroni. But I did that for about 6-7 months till I realized, I don't have the dedication these guys have. This isn't, I like doing it, it's not everything to me.
Yeah.
And I had a small child I was raising on my own.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
So it's really hard to say, yeah, I'll drive out to South Dakota to do a week at the Chuckle Hut in Fargo.
For $25?
For a hotel room, expenses, and maybe a cut of the drinks. Nope.
That sounds terrible.
Well, any sort of showbiz when you start in, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Think about musicians who, okay, I'm going to be playing at the blah 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 for a meal.
I don't know. I've always thought, I think people want to be famous, but they don't want to work hard for it. I think people want the benefits more than they want to put the effort into it, which I think is very similar to artists. Because there's a lot of artists out there who cry and whine and moan about how come no one's recognized me yet. And if all you're doing is attending small local conventions, expecting somebody to recognize you or give you a break-in, to me that's not really putting in the work. I mean, yeah, you're doing something you love and making money at it, hopefully, but if you're not getting out there and willing to take risks to go see the people that you know are going to notice you, that's not the same as working hard.
Well, and the other thing is, and it's the same with the podcasts I do, a lot of people want to, I'm a writer. Oh, well, what are you writing? Well, I've got this idea for, you're not a writer.
Yeah, if you just have an idea, that's not writing.
It's, writing is sitting your ass down in the chair and doing the work.
Are you an idea-er?
And then when you're done with that, you go over it and you edit it, and you go over it and you edit it. Now, the one thing that's changed in that is now you have to also be your own promoter. It used to be you sell your book and then the book company would blah, 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 blah. Or with Marvel and DC, and that it's okay, we will publish your book, and if you do a good job, we'll put some house ads and it'll sell. But now more and more, it's you've got to build it yourself. Even the people at Image, all Image says is, okay, we're a publishing cooperative. We'll bill you for the publishing. We'll put the ad in Image in the previews catalog. But you got to do the work.
Yeah, you got to market it. You got to make sure all the shops have it.
And it's really one of the things that I think Jen talks about a lot, where she's ahead of the curve. She's marketing herself. She's doing this stuff on the internet. She's taking pictures, showing her stuff. She's here at this convention to sort of build awareness, build brand awareness in a lot of ways, so that when she does have work to sell, people will go, oh yeah, I've been looking forward to that. Oh yeah, I really like seeing how she did that painting. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. And more creators are like that. That's why one of the things on the podcast, when I do the solo podcast, I'm getting more and more people emailing me and messaging me and saying, you want to interview me? Because they know you got to do the work. You got to get the word out. You're in charge of your promotion. You're in charge of your career.
There's actually a really good story that I have about a girl at a convention, an anime convention that I go to. She was this really small Artist Alley booth. Her name is Deanne George. She runs a booth called Sorbet Jungle. And it's all like cute plushies and scarves and sweaters and things like that. But she went from this tiny little Artist Alley booth to this big art, like dealer's room type deal. And people, she has like thousands of likes on her business page now, where people are like, oh my God, I've been looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting this plushie for a really long time. I'm glad you have it again. Now she's getting to the point where she's coming out with new stuff. She can afford to come out with new stuff.
Yep.
Because that's what happens. You get the base stuff first, and then when you make money off the base stuff, then you can start coming out with ideas 6 and 7 and 8. But a lot of people try and jump in and put all their ideas in at once and don't make a profit on any of it and end up losing out.
Well, and it's with the podcast. When Joe and I started, it was just us. We're going to get together and we're going to talk comics. And we didn't think anything beyond, we're just going to have fun and we're going to put this out and maybe people will listen. And maybe our friends will listen. But then as we started getting emails from people that we didn't know, we've got a couple super fans, Brian Poindexter, it jumps to mind immediately, who early on were like, I'm listening to this and I really like it. I really like when you talk about this. Can you talk more about that? And about, I would say, 2012, I started doing overnights and I saw that we were inching up in listeners, because when we started we would get, maybe 100 if we were lucky.
Yeah.
But then around 2012, we were getting to like 250 the first week, and we had the long tail of after 2 months, we got 1,000 people. 6 months out, we have 1,500 people. I started thinking we should take this a little more seriously. We should do more with it. And since then, we've kind of, I don't want to say we've changed things. We've grown. We've added reviews. We've added, I started the solo podcast just to try stuff. And now there's the Kirby biography that I did. There's the EC stuff I do. There's the interviews. There's more and more with that, and it keeps growing. And one of the things, there's so many ideas and so much stuff I want to do that there's not enough time.
Yeah.
We're not putting out as many podcasts as Comic Geek Speak, although the last 2 weeks on the lead up to this we did.
Yeah, they've been putting out a lot lately, and I've been like, I can't even keep up with how many you've been putting out.
Well, now that 250 and the convention's over, we're going to slow back down.
Okay.
To, the Monday show.
Because it gets a little bit hectic to be able to listen to that many podcasts all at once.
But, leading up to the convention, there was all this stuff we needed. People were saying, hey, we got this book coming out at the convention. Can we sit in with you? Mike Fragon, who helps run the convention. Hey, I'd like to talk about the convention before it comes out. I can't turn those people down because it's time limited.
Yeah.
But, after the convention, things are going to slow back down to where they were. But it's, okay, now I'm going to add the novelcast, where I'm taking my novels and reading them as audiobooks.
Yeah.
And then a few months after that, okay, the weekly news update is back. It's just 10 minutes of me telling jokes about the news, like I did when I did my stand-up, like I did for 10 years on the internet, like I'm doing now. There's another podcast that's probably starting late fall, early next year, that's going to be different from all of those. Because you're building on top of stuff.
Too many podcasts. What are you doing next?
I can't talk about the podcast we're doing next, but it's going to be fun.
Are you keeping this one?
Oh yeah, Crazy Comics and Stories will never go away.
Never, ever, ever?
Never,
Even
ever,
when you're
ever.
dead, Ghosty will be like, boo.
Actually, we've talked on previous podcasts that I actually got a text from a very good friend, Rex Citizen, who I've known for 15 years on the internet. He's like, dude, that's a little morbid. But there is a plan for what happens if either Joe or I pass away.
Okay.
Because really,
Butch takes over in a T-Rex suit.
I would love if Butch was on the show every week. Yeah, it started with Joe and I. It was just Joe and I having fun and talking comics. And then And then Jen sort of came back and I did an interview with her on the solo podcast. And afterwards, she was like, I want to be on a podcast. Can I be on your podcast? Can I be on your podcast? Can I be on your podcast? Can I please be on the podcast? Can I be on the podcast? Will you let me be on the podcast? Let her be on the podcast, and she's a good fit because she's an artist. She brings a different perspective. She brings a different voice.
Yeah.
Butch would have been on the podcast from day one if he was around, because at the shop, it was Butch, Joe, and I on Tuesdays, reading comics, watching wrestling, talking nerdy shit. Dan. I love Dan. Dan's one of my closest friends. He does the comic strip that I write. He's on the show once in a while. I want to have more interaction and more people. But when you boil it down, it's Joe and I, and we're slowly bringing in
more people
that we care about.
Yeah.
And I talk about all the time on the podcast. When I sit down on Monday night, I'm sitting down with my two best friends in the whole world. I'm sitting down with my brother from another mother, my heterosexual life partner, Joe Ryder, and my best friend in the whole world, Jim Wicked.
Yep.
And what the hell's better than that?
I can't think of even a handful of people that get to actually do what they love. Maybe not necessarily get paid for it, but do what they love consistently. There's a lot of talk, a lot of people who say, I want to do this. Not many people actually sit down and do it. So I think it's awesome. And that's, when you first started this, I was like, you know what? I got to sit and listen to this guy talk and talk. I think, what was it, 2 hours?
No. The first ones were short.
Before editing, though, your podcasts are very long. It's as soon as I walk in the house, and it's really hard too, because as soon as I walk in the house, the door is off the hinge a little bit, so it makes this creak. As soon as I walk in and you go, shh, I'm on a podcast, I'm like,
I have to hit the mute on the microphone and go, shut the hell up.
Pretty much. I can't do anything. I basically have to sit there on my iPad and be like, all right, just be quiet, because he's on his podcast. And then 2 hours later, I get to finally get up and move around and like make dinner, and I have to wait until
Dinner
that
back
podcast.
then was what? Ramen noodles.
Ramen and mac and cheese. I made chicken and rice. Don't judge me.
I'm always judging. That's my job. I judge.
Forever judging.
Yes. Let's see. Matthew Guy, of course, he said some questions with the Kirby talk. I'm going to be continuing the Kirby talk because I always will love Jack Kirby, but I've gone through his whole life now, so I need to find new ways to continue to explore the life of Jack Kirby, who's my favorite artist in the whole ever.
In the ever.
Ever. Given a choice between reading anything else in a Kirby comic, I'm going to read a Jack Kirby comic. Ramen noodles. Yeah.
Ramen noodles are getting up there in foods that I would rather not eat. But I don't know. I found a couple ramen noodle packs that I've ended up really liking. Curry ramen is really good. What?
Ramen reviews with Sharon. There's your podcast.
I don't know. I think there are probably far better things that I could review, like Halloween things. I run a Halloween blog. There's so many things that I could talk about.
I do think it's great that you're actually cooking now, because when you lived with me, it was like, yeah, what can I get out of a box?
Pretty much. Well, but most of that was...
And then I forced you to watch Alton Brown.
Most of that was...
Oh, we can't say Alton Brown too loud. It makes Jim mad.
Okay. Actually, Theo and I were talking about Alton Brown recently, and how, although we love him as a food guru, he personally, as a person, is not that great.
I've never heard that.
I've always heard he's very conservative. He's very Christian. He talks about God a lot.
Oh, I don't mind that.
No. It's like he gets like angry at people with like when they try and.
No, you see, I listened to his podcast. It never came up once.
Oh, it's at his live shows, I've heard.
Oh.
But I've never
well, then
personally
I'm glad
seen
I can't
him.
afford his live shows.
I've never personally seen him, so.
Going to have to get you to try making Anzac cookies one day. I don't know what an Anzac cookie is, but if you send me the recipe, I will try it.
And then he'll do a review on it.
As long as there's no meat in it.
Or ramen.
I don't mind.
But I would review it if there was ramen in it. I don't know. Your specialty is comics. My specialty is searching online for hours at a time looking for Halloween stuff. I worked at a Halloween store for 5 years. It was awesome. Spirit Halloween. I don't know if you guys know about it, but a lot of animatronics.
Matthew Guy said a question, a couple of questions.
Ooh.
Let's see. What is the one original graphic novel you would hype the most? It's an old one, but it's still in print, and that is Arkham Asylum by Dave McKeon and Grant Morrison. I'm a huge Grant Morrison fanboy. And Arkham Asylum, a lot of people were upset when it came out because the plot is that Batman, the people in Arkham Asylum have broken out, and Batman has to go in and restore order.
Yeah.
And people thought it would be a Batman goes in and beats up all his best villains. But it's Dave McKeon and Grant Morrison, and it's more a psychological exploration of Batman and his villains.
I actually remember that one. That's one of the few that I do remember.
And it's also, it's a book I can go back to and read over and over and over and over. There are other original graphic novels that I have enjoyed. But Arkham Asylum is one that I will read every few months and get something new out of it. And Dave McKeon's art is this surreal, painted, beautiful shit that's just so good. In the latest previews, they solicit Dave McKeon's Cages, which was a 10-issue series he did that was then collected as a book. It's paintings and line art and shit jammed onto pages, and it's experimental, and it's beautiful.
And it's not the typical Batman that you would see.
Cages is not a superhero story.
He's
at
not?
all.
Okay.
But Arkham Asylum is my favorite original graphic novel. The other question he had was about Conan. My screen has gone dark. It's gone dark. There's an hour left and my screen is gone dark. Who are the best Marvel Conan artists in the 70s and 80s run?
Oh.
In the 70s, all of them. Barry Windsor Smith is the one that people enjoy the most. That Conan was what made Barry Windsor Smith a star. And you can look at his artistic evolution when he starts. When he starts, he is a Kirby clone. To the point where I imagine Jack Kirby could have claimed him as a dependent on his taxes. And the reason that Barry Windsor Smith was on was because he was new in the business and he was cheap. His page rate was really cheap, and they didn't know if Conan would last. Matter of fact, with issue 6, Conan was canceled. But Roy Thomas talked Stan Lee into going till at least issue 12, and by issue 12, sales were way up.
Well, it takes time to tell a story. Come on.
But John Buscema came on. And John Buscema, one of the best draftsmen in comics, very much a person who comes from the old school of you learn anatomy and then you draw. And he loved drawing Conan because he didn't like superheroes. He didn't like the stories. He thought they were silly. He didn't like the costumes. He didn't like this. With Conan, he could draw. He didn't have to draw buildings and cars. He could create stuff. He could draw dragons.
Very organic stuff.
Horses. He could draw this.
Yeah.
And while the stuff on the regular Conan comic is great, that stuff in Savage Sword of Conan, where he had more time, it was in black and white, and it was longer stories, and he knew he was going to get some beautiful ink in, because it was in black and white. They couldn't use the color to sort of hype it a little.
Yeah.
They really had to give detail and depth to the art. Stuff is beautiful.
Man.